On the home stretch and get into your weekends very shortly. Listen, it's been an absolutely incredible 2 days. We've had some very positive investors. They've been deeply engaged, very excited about the opportunities. They certainly leave here with a clear set of messages, which is that New Zealand is open for business and investment. They genuinely see us as a safe haven in a volatile world. And importantly, they've got the sense that this is a government that is just single-mindedly obsessed and focused and fixated on economic growth. So it's been a really brilliant, successful few days. Still a few of them up there talking at the moment, and now it's about execution and moving into action mode and making sure we convert the opportunities that are before us. With that, happy to take any questions you may have.
How would you describe it? How do you sum it up?
Oh, absolutely brilliant. I mean, we've invited some of the world's biggest investors to New Zealand. We've showcased what's on offer in this country. We've got share of their mind. And just remember, there's 195 countries out there in the world that are all competing to get their capital. And we've actually shown up, put an event together with great coherence, a consistency of message from all the ministers, from the iwi leaders, and from the different growth sectors that we see. So, many of them are used to, doing business in lots of different countries, and they're very experienced individuals and investors, and they've been really blown away by what we've achieved in the last 2 days. Sorry.
Labour's speech, is their approach truly bipartisan? Are you happy with that?
Look, I mean, it was really important for us to invite Labour here and the opposition, because we really are working hard to make sure that we're doing everything we can as a government to create a bipartisan atmosphere and approach to infrastructure. That's fundamentally what Kiwis want, right? I mean, Kiwis are over projects being turned on, turned off, turned on, turned off through different political cycles. So that's our attempt to reach out to that, and so I thought it was great to have them here.
Do you really believe that there'll be able to be a bipartisan pipeway when it's not just the Greens that have to form a coalition? They're probably going to be with the likes of the Greens and Te Pāti Māori, who actually have shown that they're very against these PPPs. Look,
all I'd say to you is there's a range of funding and financing mechanisms that are available. We've talked a lot about PPPs, but we've also, in our one-on-one conversations and our small group breakouts, there's a whole range of funding and financing tools that are used all around the world. All I can do as the Prime Minister and as the government is to say, hey, listen, I think Kiwis expect this to be something that actually has some consistency going forward. More importantly, the investors need certainty, again, and clarity, and as a result, all I can do is make the outreach to say, hey, listen, I think this is an area of actually New Zealand's national interest, and actually we should be, and we're very open to making it bipartisan, which is why we invited the opposition and had them fully engaged and participating.
Prime Minister, did you wear a holdout from Talbot Mills that shows National was down 2 points? Do you hope that this summit may turn things around?
Oh, look, the summit is actually about making sure we turbocharge the economy and we get money into people's pockets. We are obsessed on economic growth. That is the single biggest thing that's going to lift our collective living standards. We know it's been a tough time for New Zealanders, but really, my job in the 3 years that I've been elected to do this job for the last election, I'll go to the next election, and New Zealanders are going to have to ask, are they better off, and do they see a better future for themselves and their kids based off what we're trying to do? And that's why we're having the infrastructure summit here. That's why I'm going to India tomorrow, because actually it's all about growing our economy, and the benefit of that is it leads to higher incomes and more money in people's back pockets. So, to be honest, I'm just really focused on the task at hand.
Will you make this summit an annual thing, or
it's been quite interesting. A number of the investors have reached out saying we'd love to do this again, and then there's actually been sectors. So we actually talked about with the local investors in our KiwiSaver funds, the Super Fund, ACC, that actually they would like to have a session around domestic pools of capital that we might want to talk to as well. So we look to do something like that as well. But I think we'll make that call. I mean, the key thing now is, as I said to the officials and to the ministers, is that I now want full court press on making sure we bring these opportunities to market, and we actually land them, and we actually get them set up, and we do everything that we can as a government to get the barnacles off the boat, so that then when we do the deal and the contracting with the investors, in which there's a lot of interest, we now bring it home and actually get it converted and get the money flowing into the country.
Can I just ask, can I get your response to it? Tori Vana has said, and sorry to break the hard news to you, she said that you are not a nice person and you've been picking on her and the council from the beginning.
Oh my goodness.
What's your response to that?
My mum thinks I'm nice. But the thing I'd say is that, my comments weren't directed at an individual per se. My comments were just directed to say, hey, listen, here we have $6 trillion from 107 organisations from 14 countries in this country today that have come down here incredibly incredibly excited with money that actually wants to be directed into New Zealand, and it's just a lost opportunity, and actually the people of Wellington, I just want to make sure that they have a best shot at actually getting, international investment, government and local government investment attracted and united around some core bits of infrastructure.
Too mean to Tory?
Not at all. My comments directed very much at a lost opportunity. But
So like they also did not submit a proposal for original deal.
Same thing. I mean, just think about what we've done. We've brought a huge number of investors that have lots of choices about where they send their money. And they've chosen to come to New Zealand, and we've actually sold them on the proposition for New Zealand. They're here very excited, very engaged. We've got a lot of specific detail in some of the deals, and we've got a lot of interest in building and other things coming. All I'm saying is, as a local government, you want to be first in, best dressed to actually present the needs that you have in your particular sub-region of New Zealand for that international investment. So it's a lost opportunity is all I'm trying to say. And we are in a positive mindset, a growth mindset, and then saying yes, and you want to show up and actually compete for that money, because it doesn't have to come here, it can go somewhere else.
Were any deals struck at the conference that you're aware of, or any commitments made in principle to making deals in New Zealand?
I can just tell you there was a lot of great discussion, there's a lot of deep interest, there's a lot of process that's now kicks in where people actually move through and make formal submissions and all that good stuff. I'm not going to get ahead of the commercial deals. It's important that we follow a proper commercial process.
Another school has reached out to staff suggesting that they might pull out of the school lunches program. What do you make of what's happening?
Well, as I've said before, we've got some challenges in the school lunch program. It's important we provide lunches to kids who genuinely need them. Otherwise, I think, frankly, parents can go off and make sandwiches and provide apples, all that good stuff. But we will always have a state school, a national school lunch program. It's important, because we want to make sure that kids that need food can actually learn, so they actually do well. And so, David Seymour's working hard through the issues. Yes, there have been challenges. We've got to make sure we get what we've contracted to get. And so, he's making some improvement on that, but obviously he's got more to do.
Are you disappointed that some of those lunches are coming from Australia now? And what do you say to Kiwi businesses, good old Kiwi businesses who want that money, who've had those contracts, who've lost out to now food being coming from Australia?
Well, I mean, at the moment, the real focus is on if there's genuinely kids that are hungry and actually their parents can't provide them a lunch to take them to school, then those are the kids that we need to make sure that we've got food and getting food to. And so, I'd prefer it if it was New Zealand providers, and maybe this is a short-term piece. Again, David is actually working his way through the issues, but I also know if we need to get lunches delivered to kids that are desperately needing it because the parents can't provide it for them, then we need to step up and do that.
Just take a time frame, short-term, is it appropriate for that to be a week, 2 weeks?
Oh, look, you need to talk to David, who's all over the detail, and he's working his way through the root cause of some of the challenges that they've got and some of the technical issues. But talk to him. Yeah.
As the primary school has received lunches that are still frozen today, we are still seeing teething problems almost every day. At what point do you step in?
Well, we've said, beginning of term 2, we want to see a step change and improvement. And as I said, we've got some parts of the system that are working much better than they were, say, 3 weeks ago or 6 weeks ago. And yes, we'll still have issues where we've actually got the food and the quality of the food not up to scratch. It's about getting it on time, in full, delivering on what we were contracted for. And so, I appreciate there are real challenges there, and it's important that they're closed out, and that's what David's working through.
How open are you to moving back to some of the original contract on the lunches if it really needs to go back?
Look, the issue is, as David has said himself, we'll look at term 2, at the beginning of term 2 and see where we are. I think he's very confident we can get some good improvement from the system, and we'll continue to do so.
But it might be the case that in some areas moving to some of the original contractors might be the best course of action. Some of those.
Again, we'll just let David run it. He's fully accountable. I hold him accountable for delivering it. He's working incredibly hard at it, and let him close it out.
How are you holding them?
Sorry?
How are you holding them?
Well,
We're still doing it and still seeing these problems.
Well, we're still, no, but these are quite complex problems about supply chains, about making sure we can deliver meals across a country to a multiple number of schools. And yes, there are some challenges in the delivery, but actually less on the delivery, more on the quality. And he's actually working with those suppliers to make sure that we actually close them out, get to the root cause, hunt them down, make sure that they're fixed. And, as I said, we'll look at the beginning of early term 2 and see where we are. Mate, no disrespect. I'm crystal clear with my ministers as to what I expect them to deliver, and then I empower them and they get on and get going with it.
At the summit you've had showcases from, I think, education, health, corrections, a lot of policy areas. Going forward, how much of the infrastructure demands in those portfolios do you anticipate getting supplied by the finance sector?
Look, I mean, I just say to you, if you're a parent at the moment in New Zealand and you actually want your kids to be in really awesome classrooms, if you're a patient in our healthcare system, you really want to get into actual awesome hospital facilities. How much of it's delivered and how it can be delivered as quickly as it possibly can be, those are the decisions that will be made by the decisions of those investors as to whether they do or don't want to invest in that.
It's really understandable, but is it, after the summer, is it possible that we move to a model where we see much more private procurement of classrooms and hospitals and corrections facilities? I mean, at the moment, there are so few PPPs that you can actually name them all individually. And
There's been about 8 of them, I think.
Yeah. And so in the future, do you think it would be very, very common for small neighbourhood schools to see PPPs in their schools?
Yeah, so look, one of the things that I look at is other small advanced countries around the world that are 5 million people that have higher living standards than us. And this funding and financing mechanism has actually been, whether it's PPPs or others, have been in use in many other countries around the world for decades. And we haven't used that and we haven't utilised that here in New Zealand. And yet we know when we can, it means that we're pulling forward the infrastructure, which means that New Zealanders get better public services as a result, and they get access to better quality infrastructure. So, frankly, we haven't set a target about it. We're presenting all the opportunities. Of course, each case is judged on its merits. It's got to work for the investor, and it has to work for us as the government.
Just in terms of the numbers, though, with the showcases, the slide showcases, there are hundreds of projects, infrastructure projects in the pipeline. Could in the future we see hundreds of PPPs in the next few years?
We are interested in outcomes and as to how it's delivered and how it's funded and how it's financed. I can tell you the New Zealand people are less hung up on that. What they really want is know there's a great classroom, there's a great hospital. We're very open to it, Thomas, but as I've said to you, this is how it works. We present a pipeline, we take each case on its merits, and we work out whether it works for us as a government and whether it works for the investor as well. So it's not about an aggregate sort of commitment. It's really about making, say, case by case, if there's a way to fund and finance it and get that awesome project delivered sooner, faster, better, quicker, that's great.
Very quickly, Chris Liddell, you mentioned this morning that he spoke to you guys last night. Why did you invite him along to the summit?
Because he's an eminent New Zealander who's been incredibly successful internationally in global business. He knows the global investment community well. He gave an outstanding speech actually framing the global mega trends and what that would mean for New Zealand and putting the opportunities and also the challenges for us really clearly. And I thought he did a great job.
So the next Barry Patchett with him?
Well, he's been a friend of mine for some time, so I really appreciate him coming out here and actually investing his time and sharing his insights and his perspective on how New Zealand can do well in the world, and that's what we really want to celebrate. Cool. Thanks. Good question. Yes, I have been invited by Sir Keir Starmer to participate tomorrow in a Coalition of the Willing meeting. There will be a chance really for an update as to the different lines of diplomatic efforts that are going in across securing peace in Ukraine. So, again, it's not my meeting, it's Keir's meeting, but I'm looking forward to participating in that tomorrow night. Okay, thanks, team.
Is that before you leave? So I know how's that? Is that
down to Christchurch for